What is going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Bryce Talk Show. I hope everyone is enjoying their time. Welcome to the Season 6 premiere of the Bryce Talk Show. Today we're going to be talking about this summer of 2025. As I usually do, I like to try to come on here and talk about different memories and different things that went down, different things that I remember, and things that stood out to me, my purchases and everything else, and other stuff. Alright, if you enjoy it, please subscribe and share for more people to see it and for more videos like this. So let's get things rolling. Alright, it is September 9th on a Tuesday of 2025 as I'm recording this. Fall is only a few days away, September 22nd this year. So let's start with this. This start of the spring/summer, like before Memorial Day, was kind of weird because the weather here in Ohio didn't even feel like it. Bro, it was in the 50s one day in May, and then 70s, but fine. But like most of the beginning of June was kind of cool, I'll admit. Like, it was not weird. I'm like, what the hell? It's supposed to be good. Besides that, I think, it was pretty good. We had plenty of times in the pool anyway, especially as it started to warm up. I did a lot of pool, hanging out in the pool, doing lots of waves with inner tubes or the surfboard, either the one at home or if I visited Grandma's when she has her in-ground pool, which is a lot of fun, I will tell you from experience. And I know you've seen a couple GoPro videos this year of the time in that pool and here, a little bit of here, but mainly there because I like to film over there. Yeah, just lots of fun. And hanging out at the bars/restaurants like Twin Peaks, and like I usually do all year round. Meet new people, all the girls, and hang with the ones I already know. This year we saw the WWDC with the iOS 26, which I'm a part of the beta. It won't be long until that gets released. A couple big things going on with that. We have Games app, which is like Game Center 2.0, polls and messages, so you can like actually make a poll and messages. Just so many different things. I won't get into all of them in this video/audio. But like, there's a lot that, went down with 26. The 26, I make sense because in 4 months after this, it'll be 2026, which makes a lot more sense with the name. So I've been a part of the beta. It's been pretty good sometimes, but it's a beta release. Not going to get into the whole thing about the iOS 26. That you can hear more about that in my previous videos if you're interested in checking that out. Now, there was a time where I purchased a charger pack that I could plug in and put things like the Zoom H1 Essential. For example, I got AAAs. So I'll put the thing in the charger pack, and the reason why is because those Zooms, not just the H1, but all of them, pretty much short on battery life. For like 10 hours on the Zoom, for example, on the Zoom, I think it's 10 hours of battery life. Which, comparing to all my other recorders, big difference. Because like I've had stuff that had weeks of battery life or a month, depending on use. And having a recorder like this that had like 10 hours of battery life now is just kind of crazy. I did spend a lot of time doing adult snaps. I like the adult snaps, as you know. I used a lot of my adult snaps, though. I don't have any right now, which sucks. Because I'd be using it right now, even in the fall, here at home. So, and I got these at TNT, well, when my parents actually, when they were out of town, they brought back home these. I had like a year's worth of them, and they got them these last year during end of July to August. So I've had these for a long time. This year I got some more at Prism, because Phantom Fireworks doesn't have nothing of the kind, not in Columbus. Columbus does not have those snaps. You're going to have to go anywhere else in Ohio, but they're not going to have it. But I don't have those either. And hell, the 4th of July was dope. I had lots of people swimming. I actually went to my grandmother's, and my dad was there, and everybody else was there. They swam. We did all kinds of stuff. Lots of people actually came, especially during the night. We had a little party. I did bang snaps. We did so many missiles, a bunch of mortars that we let off, and a whole lot of stuff. 200 missiles, and that was a lot. In addition to that, we had Roman candles. That was fun, so pretty much a lot for everyone. Another thing I did was put firecrackers in the fireplace, which I do that year-round anyway. But it's cool as shit putting firecrackers in the fireplace because it's all you do is just let it sit there and it just blows up. But if you're putting a log in there or put more wood in there, you better be careful because guess what? You're gonna be hit by the firecrackers. I guarantee you that. But I don't even have firecrackers even because I use a lot of that. So unfortunately, the only bad thing about that was the week after the 4th of July I was sick, which made it really suck. The big thing that happened this summer was reuniting with a friend named Creighton, which I've known since 2006 at school. Now he had to move in 2014 to different schools due to living issues and stuff like that. We kind of reconnected last year because I was in a because Dane, my other dude, put him on his Team Talk server, which I didn't know about till I joined but when I connected that one day. And he was on there. Then we connected phone numbers. Then I extended it with him. Yeah, we still talked and did a lot of stuff, but July 14th is when we actually reunited in person, which was huge. I was swimming, I was, doing a lot of tech, showing on my radios, and, well, mainly the Kudos and DX286 because my Texan was dead. And, my XM dock, my Sirius XM dock, which he has the same one, the Onyx EZR receiver, and just quite to name a few, Wingstop and Swim Days. Now he has his own podcast, Creighton's audio blog, which is only available on Spreaker at the moment. It isn't on any other platform, but it is on Spreaker. We also hanged out on July 28th as well. I had him. I was doing bank snaps with him that afternoon as well, and what had happened was he doesn't really know much about the adult snaps. I know he's heard me talk about them, and he's used the little snaps, but he hasn't had experience with the adult snaps. I'd be doing them, and he'd be throwing them, and he'd say they're all duds, and I was like, no, that's not a dud. You probably just accidentally put it on, threw it on the flower bed or something like that, or you probably did. Come to find out, he was throwing it out instead of throwing it down the way it should be, because he was doing that instead. And I'm like, bro, you can't do that. But he didn't know at first. But I said, you know what, try throwing it up in the air. And make sure it hits the ground and not the grass. And I was doing it in the front yard. Eventually he got the gist of it and didn't have to throw it up in the air. But I do like to throw it up in the air too, because I get it on the roof, I get it on the gutter, I get it everywhere. And not only that, it sounds really, really cool when it comes back down like that. When there's if I throw a bunch up in the air. And I also got a new PC, a computer from him, and it was a B-Link PC, a mini PC, a B-Link. It is the PC that has a AMD Ryzen, and it's AMD Ryzen 9 graphics, 32 gigs of RAM, and a terabyte as storage. And you could also take it apart and put 8 more terabytes of storage on this if you wanted. But it's great, runs really well. It runs Windows 11 Pro. And the reason why I ditched the old Dell, now I had the old Dell Inspiron, which I've had since 2016. 2016 I've had that thing. I was using it for a long time. And I had some other issues, like you cannot at any time unplug the computer or else it will die instantly. It's not going to hold a charge. And I don't know if that has to do with the prom bending the one time, I think it was 3 years, 3 years ago, 4 years ago possibly, or something like that. I don't know what the case may be, but it didn't hold a charge. Secondly, it didn't support Windows 11, although I could have run Flyby 11, which is a open source GitHub repository that, if ran, it will tweak your system to be supported for Windows 11 and it'll work. Although I did do that for my secondary Dell machine. I had two Dells, although the other one wasn't here at home. I had to grab the ISO from Microsoft and then put it through that program, and then I got 11. And if you're wondering, yes, it still gets updates. I was wondering because, lots of people saying it wouldn't get security updates or any updates, but I think it has to do with using that program. Speaking of the other time I hanged out with Creighton, the last time was on Thursday, August 21st, because I brought him here because we were going to take him to the Columbus Air Show, which a lot of you saw that vlog. I actually shared it on Sunday. I went to the air show on the 22nd, the Columbus Air Show featuring the Blue Angels, which was pretty big, that we could do something like that together because that was dope. In addition to that, we did a lot on Thursday. Like, I was showing them this B-Link setup on Thursday night. Hell, we actually did a podcast together. I actually have the Bryce podcast, which is similar to this, the Bryce Talk Show, although the Bryce podcast is not seasonal like the Bryce Talk Show is, and it's on most podcast platforms, so check it out. Anyway, I did an episode with him, and I also did an episode of his. We were on the couch, but I did one on episode with mine up here in my room. He was sitting, because we brought a cot because my bed wasn't too big enough for him to fit, but so he was laying in the cot, and I'm like, bro, I don't know if he was laying on the cot, he was probably sitting up, but I'm like, bro, you gotta get close to the microphone, bro, or you just get closer to me, just so that way you're not super quiet. But I mean, it wasn't terrible. But we talked a lot about how we reconnected, and also talked about the whole radio hobby. And we just talked a lot about stuff, and that was really fun. So we managed to do that together, and that was really great. And in fact, I hadn't had anybody on the Bryce podcast, so that's pretty huge, and putting him on there was big. So check it out. It's episode 29 of the podcast. Check it out. This summer saw lots of bike rides. I still ride the old e-bike, the electric bike I have. I haven't had it since last year. Biking, swinging, you name it, I was doing it. Fires, lots of fires. And you name it, I was doing it. Hell, even having food outside, that was great. Now let's talk about the area of DXing. Now DXing, using the radio to DX the FM band, because the FM band, as you know, really starts to fire up in the summertime. I was using the new Kudosin DX286 that I got last year in October. Also, I still have the PL880, the Texan, the PL880. This season was a lot better than last year in 2024, and a lot more instances of sporadic E-skip. That has something to do with all the ionization in the atmosphere, the E-layer. But anyway, and tropospheric ducting as well. Either it was the 13th or the 16th, whatever, of June, I countered a skip opening. The first skip opening that happened where Louisiana was coming up to Ohio, got I think it was the 16th of June. But I got, for an example, Louisiana Public Radio, I believe, and that was on 90.3. And I was on even the FMDX web server, which is pretty big, listening to different FMDX servers around the country, for example, but also around the world, because there's other countries too, but specifically here. And I was listening, there's an Akron one, and I listened to that one because I'm in Columbus, so even there was stuff. Like, I think it was 92.9 The Lake. That's either from Texas, I think, or Louisiana. One of the two. Damn it. And then the skip opening of July 4th. That opening was hell fun because that lasted, I think, since the morning all the way up to like 2 in the afternoon for me. 2:30. Shit, you had stations from Iowa, you had stuff from Maine, you had stuff from coming stuff out of Nebraska, a lot of Nebraska. 93.1 Thunderbird. There was a Catholic station coming out of Maine on 88.3 that my radio picked up. There are just so many things that I got with it. A couple country stuff, but that skip opening was pretty big. And even the East skip opening of last month, where Florida was coming into Ohio, was pretty huge. So lots of great stuff when it comes to skip activity. And so yeah, but so far it's been pretty good. Now lately, I took the bike out, and that was cool. And what was weird about August is August for the weather anyway. It was like if fall came early, and I think for most of the places, especially Ohio, and it was like cold as fuck. And I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, and I'm like, what's going on? And it was like 60s and 70s, which is fine. But I'm like, this isn't real for like mid-August, like from the 16th, or the 20th, 23rd, etc., etc. You know, it was cool and cool and cool. Even throughout the end of August, it was cool. Which, not good for swimming weather, but great for anything else. But I can understand it. Like, why are we feeling like it's fall already? Let us enjoy summer already, while it's almost getting ready to end. But anyway. But we got footballs back. We had the Buckeyes, number 3, number 1, Texas. That was 13-7. They didn't show up a lot, but they did win that game. And then last week, in this past Saturday, we had Buckeyes 70-0. That was dope. Although they played a nobody. And I thought, you know what's crazy? They ain't gonna do that to Michigan. We gotta do the same to Michigan. We gotta do a blowout in that game because we haven't won to them. I don't even know the last time we won Michigan, but the Wolverines. But this Saturday we have a game, and then next week I believe we have a bye week. And then we have the NFL, which kicked off Thursday, and then Sunday. And then yesterday was the game, the Chicago Bears and the Vikings, which the Vikings won. So, just a couple things. And now, it's getting that time fall. And, I have a kind of hate/love relationship with fall, and especially, a fuck you to winter. And, I really don't, first of all, it's shitty here. It's cold as hell, it's annoying, and don't really like it. That's why I'm usually in Florida all the time. I prefer to be there anyway, rather than be here instead. And there's just nothing that I, enjoy much about it being here in these times, really. What? There's nothing, and that's my opinion. There's nothing that I really enjoy over here. There's, little to nothing here. And I'm sure that's the same for everyone else. I don't know. Just a shitty depressing time, I know that. I say nay to that because it's something that I don't like. That's why I always be places like in Florida. Hell, even the lifestyle that I live is a lot better than it. Is a lot better. Like, living this life here, no. There's no way in hell I would pay to come back here to this shit. I know I rambled a little bit about that, but the only thing I think it would be fun about fall right now is you have football back, and, you know, Halloween is fun. I'm always like that, especially starting out as a child. But even there's shit as an adult. You got, if you're into big scary movies, but you also have, for example, I got shortwave radio, and I listen to those, there's pirate radio stations on shortwave, that means unlicensed broadcasts, although that happens any time of the year, but it's very interesting, the kind of programming people decide to transmit on Halloween. It's pretty interesting, or even throughout the month of October. And of course, this fall we get iOS 26. And, but this year we get iOS 26, which is great. But for winter, fuck it. It's not worth it. And, that's what I think of that. Well, everyone, that's going to be it for this episode of the Bryce Talk Show. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, share, favorite, like, and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be working on this year's summer 2025 slideshow featuring the best pictures and moments this year, as I like to try to do all the time. That'll be a very fun thing to work on. And, yeah, just lots of stuff about the memories down that we had this year. Check out the Bryce Podcast, where I featured Creighton on episode 29 of the Bryce Podcast. Check that out. That's it for this episode, this season 6 starter of the Bryce Talk Show. So, peace out.